Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Yoruba Runu series. I'm sorry that we were late today. Please bear with us. We're very thankful that you're always here every Saturday to watch us. And today we're going to be focusing on a topic that is very essential for us Yoruba people that we need to learn from. There are global events that are quite important that sometimes you might be for, in support of, that is, or you might be against, or better yet, you learn from. And for Yoruba race, it is quite important for us to try to learn from all the global events. Sorry, can you please have the music, ma'am? Ejoma, Emma Binu. Yeah, so we're live now. Emma Binu. So sorry about that. So there are lessons that we could learn from all the global events that we see across the globe. And we want to focus on a specific one that is quite prevalent right now, that is quite popular right now globally, that people are constantly talking about. And we want to see how the Yoruba race could learn from that. Because like I've always said on this show, Yoruba's unity is not negotiable. And we need to understand how to organize ourselves into a structural unit across all board, regardless of what walk of life you come from. This is quite important for us as Yoruba people. So I hope that tonight you sit back and you learn quite a good amount of lessons and you take it home, you review it, you probably go back and read more historical event regarding this situation or regarding all the other situation that is similar to this or relative to this. And you also see how this affects us as Yoruba people. You take a lot of point from it and you start to imbibe it into the way we Yoruba should be as a unit and as a race. I would like to introduce you tonight to my usual co-host, who is Madam Ajoke Ade, who will be moderating on the space alongside our new co-host tonight, who is Babawa Abe Bakare, and he will also be moderating your Q&A. Then we have behind the scene, Madam Ajoke Ade, who is always here with us every Saturday, behind the scene, all over the comment section of our platforms. So I will now finally introduce you to our speaker of the night, who is always here every Saturday to share his view and to give you in-depth analysis of different historical events. And he will always be here as well to answer your questions and to give you an insightful answer. So we have here Are Oladimeji Bolariwa, who is the president of TYF Worldwide. Thank you, everyone. Are, would you start the lecture on a very insightful note and end it on a very impactful note as well tonight?
Thank you, everybody, once again. I'm so happy to be here. It promises to be educative. It promises to be expository, and it promises to be very, very intellectual, as usual. I greet us all in the name of Olodumare. I greet us all in the name of the ancient, and I welcome us all into this wonderful session of Yoruba Runu. I greet all my fathers and mothers in the house, my wonderful host and co-host, and other moderators working behind the scene, the entire production crew of TYF across the world. I greet us all for the job well done. Today, we are discussing the Israel-Palestine issue and what are the lessons the Yoruba people can learn. This particular topic is an ancient topic, is an emotional topic, because this is a topic where people choose sides based on emotions, people choose sides based on religion, religious affiliations, and people choose sides because of their beliefs. And people choose sides because of sentiments. But I want us to be able to look at this objectively as Yoruba people and actually tell ourselves what exactly can we learn from this situation that is happening in the Middle East. The Israel-Palestine issue is one of the most combustible conflicts the world has ever known since the end of World War II. Many countries of the world, superpowers of the world, have tried to broker peace in that area of the Middle East, all to no avail. So tonight, today, this afternoon, this morning, no matter where you're listening to us, I want you to take your time to properly listen to us. And how we are going to do a proper summary of history and what are the lessons we are going to learn from this issue. I'm not speaking today as a Muslim. I'm not speaking today as a Christian. I'm not speaking today because I'm a Jew. I'm speaking today as a Yoruba man, and the lessons the Yoruba people can learn from this case, so that we can make proper geopolitical decisions in the world, and especially in Nigeria. Now, let's talk about the Middle East. The area called the Middle East has been very critical to history for a very, very long time. The area called the Middle East has always been places where empires have always fought, where empires have always risen up and have always gone back into the sands of time. The area called the Middle East has always been the place where European powers and Asian powers used to collide, and African powers used to collide. It is the intersection between three geopolitically powerful continents: Africa, Asia, and Europe. So, what is the Middle East? Now, the Middle East currently is an Arab-dominated area, place. And due to the rise of Islam, 600 years after the death of Christ, it's changed the entire geopolitical dynamics in that area forever. And that was what led to the expansion of the Arabs from the Arabian Peninsula into Syria, into Egypt, into different parts of North Africa, and many places in the Middle East. And that was how the entire non-Arab population of that place called Middle East was Arabized. Now, the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, even the Mongols at a point in time, the Persian Empire, the Babylonian Empire, the different empires of old, the Egyptian Empire, during the time of the Pharaohs, even during the time of the Mamluk Sultanate of Egypt, they once ruled that area of the Middle East. Even the Ottoman Turks were the last major power that ruled that area of the Middle East as one united bloc. Why am I giving this complete overview of the history of the Middle East? It is for us to understand where we are coming from so that we can know where we're going. Now, the Jews, the people of Israel, they've always used the Bible as the Torah, as their claim, and other Jewish texts as their claim that Jerusalem and that area that is called Palestine has always been their homeland for more than 4,000 years. They've always said that that area of Palestine is their historic homeland, that having been expelled out of that particular area, and they've been dispersed into the four corners of the world, and they've become a stateless people. They become stateless. They believe that that area of the Middle East should be their homeland. And this is where it gets interesting. The Arabs, after the Arabization of that area of the Middle East, more than 1,000 years ago, became the major population in that area of Palestine. Now, it's time to now talk about the conquest, the Ottoman conquest of that area of Palestine. When we talk about Palestine itself, it's an ancient, it's a Greek, it's from a Greek word. It's very, very ancient. It is not a recent development. It is not a recent coinage. And the Ottoman conquest of that area of Palestine in the 15th, 16th century, especially of Egypt and especially of Syria, where the Ottoman Turks, after the conquest of Constantinople, Anatolia, were able to conquer that entire area, change the dynamics of power in that particular area. And the conquest of the entire Arab world made the Turks the custodian of Islam and the most powerful force in the Islamic world for close to 600 years, for close to over 500 years, before the Balkanization of the Ottoman Empire after this First World War. Excuse me. So it is this change in dynamics that actually changed the entire balance of power in the Middle East. So for close to 500 years, the three important holiest sites in Christianity, in Judaism, and in Islam were controlled by the Ottoman Turks, namely Mecca, Medina, and Jerusalem. So for a long period of time, we had a case of like a frozen conflict where the Arabs who were controlled, who were ruled and controlled by the Ottoman Turks, and the Jews, because we also had Ottoman Jews. There were Jews who started settling in that area of Palestine since the days of the Ottoman Empire. So the destruction of the Ottoman Empire and the rise of political Zionism in Europe towards the end of the 19th century changed the dynamics of power in that area of Palestine. We need that, right? There's a reason why I'm trying as much as possible for us to understand this history before we start talking about sentiments and start juxtaposing who is right and who is wrong. The change of that, I said, the change of the dynamics of power that happened after the Balkanization of the Ottoman Turks was mostly propagated by the European powers. When the First World War started and the Ottoman Turks fought on the side of the Germans, what the Ottoman Turks did in order to be able to rally the over 70 million Arab population within the Ottoman Empire was that they declared an holy jihad. They said the Ottoman Turks the Arabs should join with the Turks in the name of Islamic Brotherhood so that they can be able to fight the infidels, which were the European powers. In order to counteract these efforts by the Ottoman Turks, the Allied powers, which was mostly led by Britain and France, they started promoting and sponsoring Arab nationalism. They started making sure that Arabs started fighting and standing up to say they were going to destroy the yoke of the Ottoman Turks over them that has been for over 500 years. So Arab nationalism started to rise up, and Arabs started questioning the issue of, is ethnic brotherhood more important than Islamic brotherhood? It's all very, very unfortunate that the Arabs that understood the importance of ethnic nationalism over Islamic religious brotherhood are now going everywhere lecturing people about the importance of Islamic brotherhood above ethnic brotherhood. One of the major factors why the Ottoman Empire was balkanized and destroyed was that the Arabs chose ethnic brotherhood, Arab brotherhood above religious brotherhood. They saw themselves first as Arabs before Muslims. And what happened? They banded together. The British supported them. And what the British and the French promised the Arabs was very simple. If the British and the French, if the Arabs from North Africa to that area of the Middle East, which also includes Palestine, can declare their loyalty to the British and enroll within the British Empire, that they were going to defeat And they were able to defeat the Ottoman Turks. The Arab territories and the Arabs are going to have their independent countries. Also, because of the large Muslim population in British India, now currently in Pakistan and in Bangladesh, and many of these Muslims in this British Indian territory, I'm talking about current day India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, they were also recruited in their millions into the British army in order to fight Germany and to fight the Ottoman. So they also promised, they promised them that they were going to get political freedom from the Ottoman Turks. That was how many dynasties, many tribal leaders, many warlords, many religious leaders within the Arab world pledged their loyalty to the British Empire. Because they pledged their loyalty to the British Empire, they were now able, they now declared war, and they refused to join jihad, the jihad call that the Ottoman Turks had called. They fought on the side of the British in order to expel and destroy the Ottoman Turks. After the Ottoman Turks were destroyed, so you have to, with this little few explanation of mine, I hope we now understand why the Ottoman Empire was destroyed. The Ottoman Empire was destroyed from within because of Arab nationalism. They thought Arab first. They were thinking Arab first. That in the name of Islam, in the name of religion, why should we become slaves to the Turkish people? That is why there is no love lost between the Turks and the Arabs till now, because the Arabs see themselves as superior colonialists, colonizers of the Arab world. That is how the Turkish people see themselves. And the Arabs see themselves as the descendants, as the people that produce the Holy Prophets. And the Holy Land is in the ancestral homeland. So why should the Turkish people, the Turks, be seeing themselves superior to them? So these are the dynamics of power within the Muslim world that many people do not understand. And this was what the Europeans, especially the British Empire, exploited radically. And they were able to use that to win the First World War. And the Balkanization of the Ottoman Turks, like I said, led to the creation of many states, like Saudi Arabia, like Jordan, like Lebanon, like Syria. Many of these places, these Arab-dominated enclaves and countries, were created because of the influence of the British. That is why there's something called the Sykes-Picot line. The Sykes-Picot line was how the British and the French collaborated together to draw maps, just like the Berlin West African Conference, where the Africa was broken into pieces and lines and borders was drawn arbitrarily. That was exactly what happened in the Middle East. For instance, there's nothing called Iraq. Iraq does not have any meaning. Iraq is a creation of the British. The Saudi Arabia was named after the Saudi warlord prince that pledged allegiance to the British to fight against the Ottoman Turks, and he was gifted that estate. So many of the current dynasties, many of the countries you see currently in the Middle East, they were creation of Britain. That is why some people do not understand. They start asking questions. Why is it that some Arab countries are pro-Europe? These are Muslim countries that are supporting Christian countries in their geopolitical agenda. It is because many of these countries were creation of European powers. And that particular leverage and geopolitical hierarchy is still intact till today. So we need to understand these dynamics. So this now also comes to the issue of Palestine. Palestine was promised to three different groups. The first group were the Arabs. And there was a particular letter where the British wrote a letter to the Sharif of the Sharif of Mecca. The Sharif of that area of Mecca, Medina, currently in Saudi Arabia, he wrote a letter to them. The McMahon wrote a letter to him that if you support us to join and make sure that Arabs join the British army to fight against your fellow Muslim brothers who are Turks. We are going to give you the land. We are going to ensure that area of Palestine, Syria, Egypt, and all the area of North Africa is returned back to the Arabs. Is returned back to the Arabs. That was what they promised then. And it is that letter and that belief that the Arabs took and made them enlist in the British army. The British also did another thing. They promised the Jews that if the Jews support them in their war against the Ottoman Turks, they were going to also support them in all means necessary. They were going to be given that area of Palestine as a place to settle. And that is where the issue of the Balfour Declaration came out. The Balfour Declaration was a letter written by Balfour to Lord Rothschild, one of the richest and prominent Jewish bankers in Europe as at that time. And that was how that area of Palestine was promised to the Jews, making two. A British official around the same time promised that area of Palestine to the Arabs. Another British official, in the name of the Imperial Majesty, the monarchy of Britain, also promised that area of Palestine to the Jews. Also, there has been also other historical documents that area of Palestine was also promised to the French. So we now have three different people competing for the same land. And what now happened was it was the most ruthless that actually got that piece of land. But I'm still going to go back. Now I'm going to go back like 40, 50 years backward from the 1918 back into the late 1800s. This was the beginning of the rise of the Zionist movement. Now, the Zionist movement, the modern Zionism, was started by an Hungarian Jew who is regarded as the father of the modern nation in the person of Theodor Herzl. Theodor Herzl was not a religious Jew, but he was tired of seeing Jews being persecuted in Europe. He was tired of the anti-Semitism. So he said for the Jews to be saved, for the Jewish problem of the Jews to be solved in Europe, the Jews need an homeland. And they started lobbying different imperial powers. They lobbied the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. They lobbied the Caesars in Germany. They lobbied the Emperor of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. They lobbied different powers, imperial powers, looking for how they were going to get a land to settle the Jews, where the Jews is going to call them their own. And there were different suggestions. Part of the suggestion was that a particular place in Argentina was suggested. Like if the Jews could migrate to that area of Argentina, that place is going to be their holy land. And there was places that also in Uganda, that if the Jews were ready to move to Uganda, they were surely going to get that place as their holy land. So as their homeland. But there was very, very radical Zionists that said that the only homeland of the Jews was in Jerusalem, because the Jews used to pray. They used to greet themselves. See you next year in Jerusalem. Even 2,000 years when they were in exile. So it was Jerusalem or nothing. So we have to, so even at the point in time, the father of the modern state of Israel, excuse me, in the person of Theodor Herzl, also believed that maybe the Jews should take Uganda, the Jews should take Argentina, so that they could form the state of Israel. So one way or the other, the Zionists, other Zionists, radical Zionists like Jabotinsky, who is the father of revisionist Zionism. They said it is Zionism or nothing, that the Arabs in Palestine must be expelled for the state of Israel to be established. Now the stage is set for war and destruction. Now let me now tell you what happened between 1890s to 1935. Between 1990s and 1935, with the rise of Zionism, there were different movements and different organizations, Zionist organizations, financial institutions that were set up in different places across the world. And what were they doing? They were raising funds and they were admonishing Jews to return, to be mass migrating back to that area of Palestine. All of a sudden, as at the 1800s, 1890, the population of Jews in the area of Palestine was less than 2%. By 1920, the population of the Jews became almost 20-30%. And what happened was they were getting funds from abroad from different Jewish organizations. They were contributing. Now, let me tell you something. The Jews believe in the power of money. They've understood that the power, the strength of the Jews is in the money. So they've understood that, and also pulling resources together. The Jews have also understood groupnomics. So they were able to band together. They were coming into Palestine. Now, during that time, that area of Palestine was under the Ottoman Empire. They were coming as immigrants, as farmers, as investors. They were buying lands and even employing Arabs to work as laborers for them. They were buying land and settling down, buying land and settling down. It was during this buying of land and settling down, they were creating what is called kibbutz. It was from this kibbutz that formed the fulcrum of the secular I'm trying to be very careful about my words, that where millions of Jews were able to settle, and they started creating functional cities, functional settlements across Israel. Many of these kibbutz today have turned into big cities and towns in Palestine. So if many of you missed what I just said, the first Jewish immigrants that were coming from all across the world, fleeing persecution, that came into that area of Palestine, did not come with guns and ammunition. They came with what? They were buying lands. So does this ring a bell to many of us? That we see some people today that openly boast that they've bought up 80% of Lagos State. We see some people today that openly boast of saying they are going to buy up Yoruba land and expel the Yoruba people. These are all things that we've seen, that if you study political Zionism, these were the terms that many Zionist settlers in Palestine were using. And the Arabs didn't take it serious. I feel sorry for the Arabs in Gaza. I feel sorry for the Arabs, for the innocent Arabs in Gaza, innocent Arabs in West Bank. But I'm sorry to say this. I don't want to sound condescending. It was the Arabs between 1910 to 1920 that were selling land indiscriminately to Jewish settlers that actually created this mess that the current Arab generation are finding themselves. I hope we understand what is happening. I hope we understand what I'm trying to pass across. That the mistakes of our great-grandfathers 100, 200 years ago, the mistakes that you make today, the political decisions you make today is likely to keep your children into eternal suffering and into eternal damnation, into eternal suffering if care is not taken. We need to understand these fundamentals. So many of these lands that were bought, that was the first claim that the Jews were telling the Arabs, we did not steal this land from you. We bought this land, now it is not ours. It's not different from what we are seeing across Yoruba land, where some people believe because they bought lands, they can be installing the OP of Lagos. Excuse me. They can be installing the OP of Lagos. They can be installing the Eze of Ajawo Estates. They can be challenging the right of the Yoruba people to speak Yoruba language in Yoruba land. They can be rewriting history and saying that they are the aboriginals of Ile-Ife. It is also not different. That is why many of us understood how people mask expansionism, colonialism in the name of economic investment. During the time of President Buhari, where there were killings by Fulani bandits all across Nigeria, they came out with a diabolical plan and said, this is going to be peace. If you don't want your people to be killed, now remember what the former SSA to the president, SSA, what he said on television. If you don't want to be 6 feet down, you have to give up your land. So if you don't want to die, you must give up lands. I'm talking about thousands of acres, and give it up for Fulani settlement in the name of cattle colony. And they sent out their intellectual bourgeoisies into the social media to say, you see, these cows will produce milk and job for you. So if you give up your land, nothing will happen. That was the straw that broke the camels for many nationalists. And we started questioning the need and question the rhetoric, the ideology of this Nigerian contraption. Now, is this what Nigeria is? Where indigenous people are bullied through constant bloodshed by non-state actors who overtly or covertly are being pampered by the federal government of Nigeria, and where people are forced to give up their lands. I hope people can make this juxtaposition. Whether I'm talking about Zionism, I'm talking about Fulani political Zionism, or I'm talking about Fulani expansionism, everything has to do about land. And I hope we understand that the two groups trying to use the different techniques and methods within Nigeria. I'm not surprised that Nnamdi Kanu is also an avowed Zionist. And he said he's a Zionist. I'm not attacking the state of Israel. I'm not attacking the Jews, but I'm talking about, we are trying to juxtapose what is happening. The issue of, when I started this lecture, I have said why both groups believe they have claim to those lands. I talked about the history, like that area of Jerusalem has always been an homeland to the Jews since the biblical days. And I also spoke about Arabs since the Arab conquest of the entire Middle East after the death of Prophet Muhammad. So we need to understand, and since the days of the Ottoman Empire, that these people, these two groups, one way or the other, they are not claiming they are not claiming to be indigenous to that area of the land. So the Yoruba people need to understand, and that it is not by mistake that the particular group that is notorious of trying to take over political power from the Yoruba people are also the ones trying to use legal means to destroy the rights of indigenous people in Yoruba land. I'm so grateful to Almighty God that after so many pushbacks, that our political elites are now moving away from being decadent and now being responsible to the Yoruba people. I spoke very harshly about Yoruba political elites who believe that numbers, billions, generating IGR is more important than the self-preservation of Yoruba land. These elites are not different from Arab landowners that sold land to Jewish immigrants in the name of investments during the time of the Ottoman Empire in the early 1900s. These Arab landowners were the people that set up the destruction and the enslavement of their people in that area of Palestine today, today in the 21st century. So we need to be able to connect the dots, so that when we see greedy people, selfish people in our midst, whose only form of Yorubanism is the material and economic gain, anything that has to do with the political survival and preservation of our land, they are not interested. We must not allow such people to determine our destiny and to determine our future. By 1930s, thousands and thousands of Jews were marching and flooding into that area of that area called Palestine. And it became so alarming that when the British finally took over, well, after they took over that area of Palestine, and the British did something. The British wrote a law that they limited the number of Jews coming into that area of Palestine. They limited the number of Jewish immigrants. Most of these immigrants were illegal. They had no papers. They were refugees, fleeing especially the rise of Nazi Germany in the rise of Nazi Germany. Many of them went to America, many of them went to Canada, Australia, and many of them migrated down to Israel. So in that area of Palestine. So after the Second World War, so during this time, many Jews were also Jews, these Jewish communities that created these different farm settlements. They started forming different militias. The militias, example, one of them is called the Lei, another one is called the Igun, and the another one is called Igun, Lei, and Agana. So this is just like OPC. Excuse me. These non-state actors were like vigilantes. It is not different from the Mietiala paramilitaries that we now see that is being empowered by some northern governors, where they are being used as a form of vigilantes to say they are protecting cattle, they are protecting Fulani herdsmen, they are trying to restore peace and all that. Let me tell you the truth. Many of these vigilantes, these armed groups, in fact, many of these groups used to be tagged terrorist organizations by the British because they tagged them terrorists. Many of them, when it was the time for the British Second World War, the British recruited many of them to go and fight Nazi Germany. And a lot of them became more and more battle-hardened. The stage was set. So these non-state actors, the Lei, the Agana, the Igun, different, it is not different from what you see in different parts, ethnic militias, the Niger Delta militants, for instance, you also have something like ESN in the southeast. You have OPC. All these non-state actors formed by the Jewish settlers was what came together to form the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. So you have to understand that you don't take some things lightly. You saw that particular that called himself Eze of Ajao, that was tracking the Yoruba people in 2023 and inviting IPOB, inviting ESN to come and take over the security of the Igbos in Lagos. You have to understand these are not things you should just overlook. We are playing with our future, with the characteristics being displayed by some people within Nigeria. And the Sahel currently is the most dangerous place on earth. Many countries in the Sahel have broken down. Many countries in the Sahel are no longer what it used to be. Thus, the Sahel literally has blown up into pieces. So what we are going to see, the littoral states in the coastal areas are going to be hotbed of violence one way or the other. So we should understand that a lot is going to happen in this century, not because it is not preventable, but we do not have the intellectual, the sound and serious political class who are ready to put Nigeria above their personal ethnic supremacist tendencies. This is the issue we have. And Nigeria is not just Nigeria. Benin Republic is not safe. Togo is not safe. Ghana is not safe. What we are facing is cataclysm. And one way or the other, seeing that most of these countries, countries in the flashpoints, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali have left. In fact, they become anti-West. They become anti-West, which is not going to end well for all of us. Because whether we like it or not, the geopolitical power play that is going to happen in the Sahel in the next 10, 20 years is going to shape the future of the world. So after 1948, the state of Israel was declared. And this was where the problem started. The Jews claimed, due to the letter given to them, excuse me, I have the Jews, due to the letter given to them by Lord Balfour, believe that the state of Israel, the area of Palestine is theirs. The Arabs, based on the letter given to them by McMahon, believe that that area of Palestine is theirs. Then war started. It was this war that changed the entire dynamics of power. It was this war that changed the entire situation of things. And it was this war the solution that the British first proposed before there was war was that close to 45% of the area called Palestine today will be given to the Jews, while the remaining 55% will be given to the Arabs. The Arabs said, no, these people are our tenants. We sold land to them. We accepted them as refugees. They came to us landless. Why should we now be sharing our land with them? Does it ring a bell? When you are seeing people saying that the Yoruba people must share power with them in Lagos, or else Lagos should be taken out of Yoruba land. The Yoruba people must make them governors in Lagos, or Lagos should be taken out of the West, or they have the right to also become deputy governors in Lagos. We've also seen diabolical Yoruba politicians who will do everything for power. We will do anything for power. Who will sabotage their people. Who will go into unholy alliances. Who will prop up, make anti-Yoruba statements. Like that PDP individual that was saying rubbish with Chenwa Kimbaloye. These are people. These were the kind of people that made the people of Palestine go into slavery. So the Arabs of Palestine go into slavery. There was war. But after many European powers funded Israel, the Jews, with weapons, especially from America. They were able to defeat the Arabs, the Arab nations, the Arab countries. Because many people don't know that Gaza used to be controlled by Egypt, and West Bank, that western side, Eastern Jerusalem, used to be controlled by Jordan. It was after this war, 1948 war, that more than 70% of that area of Palestine, British Palestine, became part and parcel of part of Israel today, and Israel annexed it. This was the beginning of the end. And more than 1.5 million Arabs were expelled from their homes and they were expelled from their land. In fact, Israel made the Jews, Israel now, the new state of Israel made a law. Once you leave your home, that home is no longer belongs to you. And it was occupied by Jews, fleeing persecution from Israel. That is how we got here. That was the beginning. And anytime the Arabs tried to fight again, Israel keeps on expanding, gaining more territories, full annexation of West Bank, annexation of the entire Jerusalem. And that was how the Arabs lost their land in Palestine. That was how the Arabs lost their land in Palestine. It was gradual, it was systematic. And that is how the Jews today, the state of Israel, was created. I'm sorry to say this, many countries of the world was built on secular colonialism. The entire country in the South American continent was built on secular colonialism. The entire countries in North America today was built on secular colonialism. Northern Ireland, the United Kingdom, secular colonialism. So there are many powers, there are so many countries, imperial powers, that created new settlements, new countries out of secular colonialism. Crimea was created out, became Russified. Crimea used to belong to the Turkic people. Crimea was Russified, taken over by the Russians through secular colonialism, and it became part and parcel of Russia till today. So we need to understand that the land you that cannot defend does not belong to you. A land can belong to the Yoruba people 300 years ago. It can belong to the Yoruba people 200 years ago. If we do not stand our ground, damn political correctness, organize ourselves, we will be pushed out of our lands, like what happened to the Palestinian Arabs. And nothing will happen, the world will move on. We need to understand the world is not fair. These are the lessons the Yoruba people must learn from the people of Palestine. These are the lessons the Yoruba people must learn. We must never allow ourselves to become victims. We must be strong and understand that the Yoruba land now within Nigeria or outside Nigeria must be protected at all costs. We must elevate Yoruba leaders that promote self-preservation than Yoruba leaders that are building railway, green line, blue line, yellow line, purple line, blue line, all circular road, and all those other nonsense. Because the land, if you lose your land, you cannot build anything. And if you build a prosperous country, it can be taken over by invaders, and they will use that land against you, their prosperity against you. Like what happened to the Byzantine Empire. Because the Constantinople was a city full of riches, never seen in the whole of Central Asia. Immediately, the Turkish people hijacked and took Constantinople. They made it their capital, and that was the beginning of Turkish prosperity. So people, you can use your brain, your intellectuals, your resources, your ingenuity to build a super rich state like Lagos State. And the Igbos are going to take it over from you, and they are going to turn it into their eternal capital. And if you're not careful, you're going to have collaborators in our midst. That can happen. But we need to tell ourselves the truth. It must not happen if we do the right thing. If we do the right thing, there are many groups in Nigeria that believes in the right of conquest. They believe by right of conquest, that land is no longer ours. That's why when somebody says Ilorin is not Yoruba land, some of us ask them, you say Ilorin is Yoruba land, you are a Nupe lawyer, but you believe that Bida is Bida in Niger State, Nupe territory. He kept quiet and ran away because they believe that Yoruba people are conquered people within Nigeria. We are just changing the dynamics of power. We are just changing the dynamics of rhetoric. Unfortunately, for the past our existence since 1914 amalgamation in Nigeria, the Yoruba people have always been behaving like conquered people. We don't know when to fight. We don't know how to fight. We've lost the methodology. The political elite are disconnected from the nationalist base. There's a lot of disconnection. There's no order within Yoruba land. We've had opportunists and social climbers parading themselves as Yoruba conservatives, parading themselves as Yoruba nationalists, parading themselves as Yoruba politicians. The worst of us have the largest loudspeakers. But this will change with the new Yorubanism, with new Hawoism, the self-preservation cause that we are embarking on. This is not a call for secession, it's for us to use our head, for us to know whether we are in Nigeria, whether within the British Empire, no matter the powers, empire rises, empire falls, Yoruba land must be protected at all costs. We must understand that. We must understand that. The Arabs in Palestine could not defend and protect Palestine, their land, when they were in the Ottoman Empire. Immediately, the Ottoman Empire ceased to exist. Outsiders, their visitors took over their land. The Yoruba people must not understand these facts. That we are Nigerians does not mean we are not going to give your ancestral land to other groups to take over. Because this was a mistake the Arabs made. They go, we are all Ottomans. We are all Ottomans. And the Ottoman Jews were inviting other outside Jews to take over that place, because they also said this land belongs to them. That was why TYF instituted a court case against those expansionists and those diabolical beings. Same from the Southeast, who are claiming that Ile-Ife belongs to the Igbo people. They are laying down precedent, they are laying down narrative that would justify the invasion and destruction of Yoruba land if care is not taken. These are not propaganda. This is what we've seen from time to time. I'm going to stop here and grab a glass of water. May Olodumare continue to bless the entire Yoruba race. I'm going to allow the moderators to take over, and I'll be back. I'll be ready for more questions, to answer more questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Are, for that very insightful lecture. I hope that everyone watching us right now has taken a lot from this and understand why it is important for us as Yoruba people to collaborate and work together to defend our land, heritage, identity, and everything else that we want to pass on to the next generation of Yoruba people. I would now transition to my co-hosts, Baba Bakari, and also Madam Ajoke Ade. And I also want to thank Madam Ajoke for working behind the scene and posting stuff in the comment section and interacting with our viewers. So, Baba, are you ready to take on the moderation? Or Madam Ajoke Ade, are you ready? Hello?
I'm here.
All right.
Madam Lakweju, Eshegon, thank you very much.
Please turn on your camera, ma.
Are is on.
All right.
Are, thank you so much. Eshegon, Eku gbogbo gba. Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò ní bàjẹ́. Àwọn èèyàn wa wọ́n máa kúnkún gbọ́ láṣẹ Èdùmàrè, wọ́n máa gbọ́ Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò ní bàjẹ́. Àní ṣerú ẹnì kankan ní ìlú tá à ń pè ní Nàìjíríà, ibẹ̀ náà la ṣì wà. Ìpín títí wa ọ̀n ní pín létí tẹlòmíì, àwa la ilẹ̀ bàbá wa kò sẹ́ni tó máa gbà mọ́ wa lọ́wọ́. Àwa la ní lọ kógun bá èèyàn kankan níbi tí wọ́n wà, níbi tí àwọn bàbá tí wọ́n filẹ̀ fún wọn. Lọ béèyàn kankan jà, lọ béèyàn kankan fa nǹkankan, lọ bá wọn páwa la nílẹ̀ wọn torí pa wà nínú Nàìjíríà. Láṣẹ Èdùmàrè, ilẹ̀ wa ò ní dilẹ̀ onílẹ̀. Thank you so much, Are. That was a wonderful.
Hello, sir. Are you there? Baba Bakari. Sure, I'm
Sorry
there.
for that.
Oh, okay.
So, do we have anybody up? Baba Bakari, ṣé wà ńbẹ̀? Host.
Baba, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ on mute mic yìí. Ṣé ń gbọ́ wa?
Bóyá wọn ò sí ńbẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ ká continue.
All right. When tó wà lórí space. So, a ní speaker àbí a chat gbá àwọn èèyàn wá sórí.
Actually, I need speaker, but bóyá connection because I invited Madam Dabiri mo rí wọn lórí stage tẹ́lẹ̀. Okay, so hold on, please.
Okay, Baba ti wà níbí. Hello,
Okay.
sir.
Ẹ káàbọ̀, Baba Bakari, ṣé ti gbé padà síbí?
Yeah.
All right, sir.
Sir. Hello, sir. Ṣé ẹ ní anybody tó fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ lórí space bẹ́ẹ̀?
Mi ò tí ì rí ọwọ́ kan lókè báyìí.
Èmi gan mò ń try láti gbé.
Okay, nìkan fẹ́ sókè báyìí.
Okay. Exactly.
Yeah, Rona. Yeah, Rona, káàbọ̀ sórí ètò.
A lè gbọ́ wọn sá o. Ààrẹ.
Mi ò rò pé wọ́n ti wà lókè gan because it's on request. Mo dey accept the request wọn.
All right. Nígbà tí a bá ń ṣe yẹn lọ́mọ, ẹ yẹ kí èmi engage ààrẹ díẹ̀.
All right.
Tẹ́ bá ti ready, ẹ jẹ́ ká mọ̀. Ṣé gbọ́ mọ̀?
No problem.
Okay. Ààrẹ. So lọ́rọ̀ kan ṣá, gbogbo nǹkan tẹ́ ti sọ sílẹ̀ nísìn, ká sọ ní èdè Yorùbá wa, kí gbogbo wa ká lè gbọ́ kó yé wa dáadáa. Ẹ sọ pé ẹni tí ó bá ti mú fẹ́ fi àmójútó sí ọ̀rọ̀ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, pé àwọn ìran míì tó ń bọ̀ ló máa jẹ̀yà ẹ̀ tó pọ̀ jù. So nísìnyìí, kí ni àtúnṣe sí gbogbo nǹkan tá a ti ṣe sílẹ̀ sí tá a wá fẹ́ kí ó lè dáa fún ọjọ́ ọ̀la wa? Kí làtúnṣe gangan? Kí la gbọ́dọ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí í ṣe láti wákàtí?
Thank you very, very much. The most important thing we need to first understand is we need to first understand the country we live in as Yoruba people. The political consciousness of the Yoruba people within Nigeria is very, very poor. Our people do not even understand why they exist in Nigeria and why they became Nigerians. I believe if we can be able to properly solve this problem first, then the issue of that we face within Nigeria will be solved. Unfortunately, the Yoruba people had great leaders, pro-Yoruba leaders in the First Republic. It was the Yoruba leaders that had the interest of the Yoruba people at heart in the First Republic that defended and protected Yoruba people. So the dangers that the people of the Middle Belt, the people of the South, Niger Delta had, what they faced from maybe Northern Arewa aristocrats or the Igbo NCNC power brokers. We did not suffer it because Awolowo did not allow us to feel the wrath of Azikwe and his agenda in the destruction and enslavement of the Yoruba people within Nigeria using the structure of politics. But currently, in this current dispensation, we now have political leaders who are only Awoists when it comes to economy, but when it comes to self-preservation, they are no longer Awoists. So the Yoruba people are now exposed to a kind of danger that we've not seen since the beginning of Nigeria. What the Yoruba people are experiencing, the people of Santa Kaduna have experienced it. The people of Benue have experienced it. The people of Jos in Plateau State, they understand what we're talking about. The people of Taraba understands what we're talking about. The people of Adamawa understands what we're talking about. The people in Nasarawa understands what we're talking about. The Jaw people understand what they're talking about in rivers. The Ikwere people understand what they're talking about. The Efiki people understand what we're talking about. The only people who do not understand what we're talking about are the Yoruba people. And now that is why it seems a lot of our people do not actually understand. They are aloof. That how can somebody travel all the way from Anambra and come to Yoruba land? The next thing the person is saying, this land is no man's land. We will chase your Obasa, we will take it over. They are shocked. But if you ask the job people that were under Zik in the First Republic directly, that understood that faced the horrors and the genocide that the Biafran troops, the Biafran army perpetrated in Biafra and in that area of former Eastern region. They understand it. They have this first-hand experience. So the Yoruba people, I believe we are passing through something that we are surely going to overcome and become more tougher and stronger. Because that is why we now have a vibrant socio-cultural, socio-political organization like TYF, where we hope and we pray by the grace of Olodumare, where we'll be able to bring back Awoism back into the social consciousness of our people. Now, the self-preservation of Yoruba land is no longer going to be the responsibility of our political elites. It is now going to be the totalitarian effort of every Yoruba sons and daughter, born and yet unborn, living and non-living, to preserve the Yoruba land as it is. That is exactly what we have to do. And it's already yielding results. Voxi populi, voxi dei. All politics is local. It is our right. That is the beauty of democracy, when we still have demography and political power on our side. We must control our politics. If Yoruba people cannot control political power in our land, we've been conquered. A land where you cannot control the political dynamics and power is no longer yours. And political power is very, very important. It is via political power we are going to be able to economically, socially, culturally preserve and empower our people, our women, our market women, our young boys and girls, which is what other ethnicities are trying to rescue out of Yoruba land. If you look at Nigeria, when the Middle Belt people are talking about preserving the lives, the lands of the Christians in the Middle Belt, everybody supports it. When the Jaws, you see Tompolo boasting openly that Wari belongs to them, even though they are invaders in Wari. That's a bit of truth. Wari belongs to the Yoruba people, to the Shekiris people. You are going to see them on social media defending this absolute nonsense. That land that does not belong to them belongs to them. But let the Yoruba people say, oh, Ibadan land belongs to the only Ibadan people. You start seeing people all the way from Borno State, all the way from terrorist ravaged places in Zamfara. They are going to see people coming from terrorist ravaged places in Ebonyi, in Anambra, even people that we have no business with, minorities that Awolowo bled and died for, also coming up and start saying all sort of nonsense and start trying to have opinions about the Yoruba people. Because everybody sees us as the easy pig. Everybody sees us as the guinea pig. Everybody believes that Yoruba land is something that they must get a share of, because we now have political elites and we have a redundant and decadent generation that do not understand why they are Nigerians. We were not Nigerians because we wanted to be Nigerians. We were Nigerians by force. Everybody in Nigeria knew why they are in Nigeria. The Igbos understand why they are in Nigeria. The Fulanis understand why they are in Nigeria. The Jaws understand why they are in Nigeria. And they are playing politics. They understand local politics, national politics, and geopolitical politics. So if we understand these fundamentals, that we understand that politics is beyond one sanwo oshu, one sanwo osise, one shi or no. The Yoruba people must start playing survival politics. We must start seeing politics from the position of survival. We must understand that this is the first time the Yoruba youth, people between the age of 18 to 45, between the age of 18 to less than 50, that do not actually have any political affiliation, for the first time are paying critical attention to who controls their local politics. And that is the most dangerous thing we've ever done. Many of us still believe that our obas are in charge. We believe, oh, the politicians should fix it. But there is no power again with our obas. One. Two, the political sets that the political people, politicians that defended us, many of them are now dead. Many of them are no more. Many of them have now grown old. Many have sold out. It is now our responsibility to do the needful. This is our land. It doesn't matter. Maybe you are rich or poor. You are educated or not educated. We must defend that land. Because without Yoruba land, there's no Yoruba identity. Without Yoruba land, there's no Yoruba culture. To be a Nigerian does not mean we have to give up our territory and our land. There is nowhere it is written in Nigeria's constitution. We did not sign that thing with the British that Nigeria, you have to cease to be Yoruba. No. Nigeria, you have to cease protecting your culture. No, those are genocidal ideologies. Those are genocidal things. And we must do the right thing. And the right thing is organizing and having the right intellectual argument and intellectual fortitude, proper organization, not rabble-rousing, not terrorism, not corruption, not decadence, not using it as a form of social climbing. We must see this renaissance not as an avenue for you to be looking for how you're going to become governor in the next 10, 20 years. If that's the reason why you are doing this thing, then you are not worthy to be here. We are thinking the next 200, 400 years. That is why you look at the topic of the last global conference that the Yoruba people, that the TYF organized on behalf of the Yoruba people. In 200 years, where will the Yoruba people be? You have to ask yourself, 200 years ago, there was no Nigeria. 150 years ago, there was no Nigeria. 100 years ago, there was no independent Nigeria. This area called Nigeria was created by the British, and it was part and parcel of the British Empire. Now, the British Empire is no more. We have Nigeria. In the next 50 years, where will Nigeria be? These are questions you need to ask yourself. These are questions you need. We don't need to be emotional about it. We don't need to be sentimental about it. We need to be able to ask critical questions. We must start leaving everything to fate, because those who do not control their destiny are bound to be slaves for life. The Yoruba people must not make this mistake. We must treat Nigeria for what it is and understand that we are Yoruba first within Nigeria. We might be Muslims, we might be Christians, we might be Sheshe. No matter the religion we practice, we must protect Yoruba land, because that is the essence from where we come from. I hope I've been able to answer that question.
Thank you so much, Are. Thank you very much. I just want to urge all Yoruba people to remember that communal interest has to be our priority. Whatever personal interest you have, if it falls outside communal interest, it's going to affect everyone else, because we are all interconnected. Yoruba, we are a unit. We just need to be more structured. We need to be a structural unit so that we can have the same purpose, the same vision, and the same plan for Yoruba land and for Yoruba civilization for at least 1,000 years. And in order for us to do that, personal interest cannot be above communal interest, because if you have personal interest above communal interest, it will be selfish and it will put the entire race at jeopardy. And you would not survive it as well, because there's no way you can survive as a lone wolf. There's no way, well, lone wolf might be able to, but there's no way you can survive as a lone person. It's not possible. You have to have a group that you cleave to. You have to have a group that you come from. You have to have a group that you represent within Nigeria space itself. So it's very important that we start to think about it. No matter what you want to do, you can do it within Yoruba space itself. You can do it within Yoruba civilization itself. You can become anything you want within Yoruba civilization. But we have to put in the work for us to be able to have such a civilization where we control our future and we control how we want to control our space, our resources, and everything else that comes with it. I would like to ask our my co-hosts rather, Madam Ajoke Ade and Baba Bakari, if we have anybody here to speak to us tonight.
We have
Thank you so much.
extended. Okay, yeah. Go ahead, madam. Go ahead.
Eshegon, thank you so much, Madam Olapeju. That's a very good short submission, a very big one. Thank you so much. It's been a long time. Ẹ̀gbọ́n Gbọ̀ǹkà níbo lẹ wà láti ọjọ́ yìí? So before I give you the mic, I would like to make some announcement. Like always, gbogbo wa ni a mọ̀ pé TYF a lè dá ṣe tí kò bá sí ẹ̀yin, kò sí àwa. So please join us. Join wa lórí platform wa. We're on YouTube, on LinkedIn. Sorry, excuse me. Our lórí TikTok. Our lórí Facebook. So join wa. Be a TYF member. It is very important. We cannot do it alone. Please join us. TYF, go to TYF Yoruba, Think Yoruba First .org. Please join us. As usual, Emekwani e-library. You can always go to our e-library to different a lot of history books. Lanimbe, Boboa, as Are used to tell us, Barish Mambawa so a lot of history, old dàbẹ̀ pé oúnjẹ wa níyà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. We need to read, we need to, I need láti máa ka history wa, nǹkan tí ó ṣẹlẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀, so that kò ní jẹ́ pé àwọn ọmọ wa tó ń bọ̀ ká má fìyà jẹ wọ́n. Propaganda tó ti ṣe fún ọmọ Yorùbá ó ti pọ̀ jù. We believed a lot of nonsense tí wọ́n ti kó sí àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá lórí, all because we fail to read. So, Joe, I mean, you can always go to our e-library. You have a lot of history books there. Also, Joe, like always, you can support us by donating. We need you. Le dashe. Mo baba she le support wa. Support wa. 2RF shop is there. We have a lot of items. Visitors. And I need the support from Yoruba. Omo Yoruba, I need like support to her. We cannot do it alone. Thank you. So, Baba Gonka, are you there?
You hear me very well?
Loud and clear. Please take the mic.
Oh, thank you very much. It's been a while. It's been a while. How have you been, my sister? I've missed you. I've missed the whole crew.
I want to miss you. Echo Jamaica.
This topic is a very interesting topic, and I don't deviate much from what the host is saying, who is a big mentor to many of us, a great teacher. Good job to you, Are. We always appreciate you. This is a very interesting topic, and the Israel-Palestinian issue, and it's a very dicey situation because for me personally, I'm a very pro-Jewish guy, and it's not. You see, I think more about myself as a Yoruba person. So when you look at what's happening between Israel and Palestine, you would fault Israel more, especially the Zionists, right? But because the Jews have been very great friends to us Yoruba people, the civilization you saw that Awolowo brought to Yoruba land was a big part of it was because of the Jews. So it makes me a little bit kind of, because I love my Yoruba identity, but I don't think based on fairness. I think based on what benefits me. So I've seen them. Because many of our structures, they helped us set up our farm settlements then during those days of our. They built OAU for us. They built the famous company then that was in Yoruba land. The Julius Berger, the first powerful construction company, came from a Jewish company, and it was called Solebune. But it's very important. So I might be a little bit biased in that area, even though technically, let's be honest, it's 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 a tough one, right? So you see, but the bigger picture that I want us to understand is that if you want to be cool with your land, you are going to be a source of disgrace to descendants. People who come to your land to take your land, they do not come as enemies, like the way our ancestors say. They usually come as friends. They'll come in and, they will be your next door neighbor, they will do your area with you and all that. But it's a long-term agenda. And when the people have their eye on taking what belongs to you, it is a generational thing. If you don't understand that, take a look at what happened between the Constantines and the Ottomans. It was a generational thing. It became the same obsession the Ottomans had for Constantine is similar to what you see the Igbos have for Yoruba land. And that is the reason why that thing will continue to recycle itself. Everything that you saw happen during the days of Zeke is what you see repeating itself. The same obsession for Lagos and Yoruba land during the days of Zeke is still the obsession you see today. In fact, the politics you see going on in Nigeria today is a politics where the Igbos are ready to step down for their ambition at federal level if there's a negotiation to give them Yoruba land. That is one of the reasons that you will see that Atiku has currently started pandering towards them. All of a sudden, he's remembering Nnamdi Kanu and all that. These are structures. All of a sudden, you just wake up and you see Peter Obi going around with his apprentice, going over and trying to kind of target strategic Yoruba people. You know, these are all strategic situations. So you see, that's what they do. And when you accommodate them, see, something, you know. Now they take advantage of that divide, and then the next thing they usually do is try to create a park system. What do you call a park system? A park system is one that says your ideology, your view of nation building is old school. There's a new order now. That is what the Romans did when they did what you call the Pax Urbana. That's what the British did when they created the concept of Pax Briticana. That is what Azikiwe was trying to do when he wanted to create another pan-Nigeria agenda. You know, it's a way of saying, and these are the things that Awolowo wrote in his books, and we will not elaborate because we've said it many times. And you know, it's very interesting and very sad that any Yoruba man would even imagine that Awolowo is someone you put on a pedestal with someone else and comparing this person is greater than this. In fact, because I go shape for our local joke, but they are you know, you don't understand. Someone was able to navigate a strategic transition period that would have brought you down for good. Everyone in one, in go money street. And then you think that the person who did that is less than the person who is now reaping of the benefit. It's like trying to say Obama is bigger than Martin Luther King. Or to say that Obama is bigger than, I don't want to start mentioning those guys that died. All those that are doing that thing so that Obama can campaign. That's how much we get some things very twisted. But you see, now, one of the things they do which now gets dangerous is that when they come into your land and they get settled and then they become a part of you, they start to infuse themselves into your nobility and ruling class. And then, immediately they're able to do that, they start to do what you call infusing a division. And then they eventually strike. Of all this, right, the biggest damage is the corruption of your values, your norms, your values as a people. The moment you are made to hate your ideology, the ideology your ancestors gave you, the moment you are made to hate the philosophies that your ancestors passed down to you, and a big identity crisis has been created. And you can see that is even bigger than slavery, where they put chains in your hands. Because look, the Hausa man today, if he decides that he wants to take his land back, he wants to restore his image, it doesn't take Hausa people less than 20 days to do it. Well, look, if they come together today and say, we're done, we want our land back, and they are organized. But the reason why that will never happen is because they are not, they have been totally detached and disconnected from their ancestors. And a new pax, what I call a pax, okay, let me reserve my word as that. A new pax has been created there that now makes it impossible for you because you've been caught from your ancestors. You've been caught from the great Sakit. They've been caught from Muhammad Rumfa. They've been caught from Queen Amina Zaria. So now the new pax is what holds that chain in their hands. Of all this is the biggest damage. Now, you see, let me give just 3-4 examples so we can understand how it works and look into our modern reality. When the Fulanis came to Hausa land, they did not come as enemies. You know, they came as friends. There's a clan of the Fulani people that they call the Torotbes. The Torotbes are the priestly class. Usman Danfodio was a Torotbe. This Malam Atilorin was a Torotbe. And although, in fact, in those days, they were not even dark skinned like us. They were red skins. I think that's where the word Fula comes from the word Pula, and it means red. So you see, they came as intellectuals, and the people embraced them. They made them teachers. They were the ones teaching their sons how to be nobles and princes and all that. That's how much they embraced them. The Hausas and the Fulani had an arrangement where they will allow them bring their cows to their farms during the dry season to graze, and then they leave when it's time for planting and cropping. And Hausa people are one of the most hardworking people. They are one of the most hardworking Africans. You see that poverty in that land, you can never compare. These guys are hardworking. If you don't believe me, observe a Hausa man in a manual labor. They are digging wells for you and all that. Now, or observe a Hausa man in his farm. If you ever go, you see how much of a hard workers these guys are. But they have been disconnected in a way. But this is where the problem came from, because they got too relaxed. Right? They allowed these visitors to come in. They embraced them. These guys started to dictate to them what the new order should be. They started to teach them how their kings were not so good, and how this is one of the reasons why we're careful. No matter how much you criticize your leaders, we're not impressed with them. We're not happy with some things they do. But you cannot criticize leadership in a way where you open a room for an outsider to come and take over. That is danger. That is very dangerous. That is reckless. Now they did that, and these guys came in and they settled down on the land and all that. And before you knew it, they built a nobility class. And before you know it, a jihad happened. And before you know it, all that land has been taken. Where did this start from? It started from you embracing them, accommodating them, letting them settle in your midst, and accepting them to be part of your nobility. No nation that seeks to self-preserve itself does something that reckless. When the British arrived in South Africa, they came as their friends. These guys gave them land. But somebody gave them the land of Durban. I think that was where they first set. But then they started to discover diamonds and all that and stuff. Look at how it played out for them. Look at how it all ended. Look at how it all. When they arrived in Lagos, they arrived as friends, right? But look at what they played in the politics of Lagos. Look at how they changed what you see going on in Lagos today is a damage they created. If somebody is claiming they have rights and everything, it's based on a lot of damages they created at that time, because they saw Lagos as a buffer zone, as a good launching pad for them to take Nigeria. Now, see, this is happening in our time, and one of the things that I see, the politics of the East constantly tries to make you feel like embracing your identity is a bad thing. And if you people think it's going to stop in Lagos, this is where you make the mistake. It's not that we're not so big on Lagos, because I'm not from Lagos. I wish good for Lagos because they're my Yoruba brothers, not because I want a stake in Lagos per se, but that's part of what Duas Estate. And when our ancestors divided it, it gave it to a certain people. Those are the people that own that place and have a right to it. But if someone is trying to make you fight your brother, it's because, look, if you separate yourself from their worries, as Yoruba people, it's easy for them to be brought down but you see, their power is in the numbers of brotherhood they have with their own fellow brothers of Omokaro Jire. But you see, if they take Lagos, when the British took Lagos, their eye was on all of Yoruba land. It was from Lagos that they planned everything they did to incite the violence that caused the Kiriji War, to bring all those kingdoms of Yoruba land under their feet, and to eventually negotiate from a position of strength over them. See, the wealth of Lagos is an extension of the wealth of Yoruba land. The wealth in Lagos cannot, you see, Lagos will not be wealthy if Yoruba land is not wealthy. Look, Lagos is not the only island in the coast of Nigeria. There are so many islands, favorably big in size as well. We have Opopo. We have what's that very there's in those Shekiri place, they trying to remember, but it skipped my head. But you see, just go to the Nigerian map and look at all those islands on the south. Why is it that they are not as powerful or as influential, as big in the commercial situations as you see in Lagos? It is because of the Yoruba factor. If you take Lagos Island, if God forbid, some hurricane moves Lagos away from where it is and moves it to maybe Joland, the wealth you see in Lagos will vaporize because the landscape had changed. I hope I'm making sense, but I just don't know how else to explain it, right? So you see, this is what it is. Now look, if they take Lagos, they will do exactly the same way Azikiwe did. You know, Azikiwe only concentrated on Lagos. He disrupted politics of Lagos. But do you think his mind was on Lagos? Definitely not. His mind was on all of Yoruba land, and he eventually struck when in the 1950s, when he wanted to be premier of Western region. How did that happen? It's because of the accommodation he got in Yoruba land from Lagos. And now after Lagos, where was he going to go? Ibadan. These are the three places. See, and another thing that I noticed that they do a lot is that they tamper with your history. And you see, there are three strategic places in Ibadan, in Yoruba land, that the East is very obsessed to take. One is Lagos, another one is Ibadan, another one is Ife. And that is why you see that the biggest attacks on Yoruba people is usually focused on these three places. Do you think it's a coincidence seeing Peter Obi and his apprentice boy taking pictures with the new Olubadan? They understand if you take Lagos, you take Ibadan, you take Ife, you have captured the soul of Yoruba land. And I'm not saying that all other Yoruba people are not important, but I'm saying that if we one if I come up picking agenda, because if we think like this, don't make it look like I'm trying to talk down on another Yoruba group. But in geopolitics, if you take this three place, so you see, this is what this guy was doing. You see, that's what Peter Obi is doing. And look at the way they are revisiting our history and trying to tamper with the origins of Ife and who exactly can be called the natives of Ife. Those are strategic things. Ask yourself, why didn't they do that for Ibadan? Why didn't they do that for Oyo? Why didn't they do that for Egba or Ondo? It's because they are attacking a very strategic place. So these are coordinated, very structured organizations, right? So this is one of the reasons why you can't be cool and nice when it comes to your land. Two more things I want to say before I yield the mic. When the Europeans arrived in North America, the Native Americans embraced them. The reason why we have Thanksgiving and where they kill turkey is because these guys, turkey was native to their land, and these guys would have died of starvation if these guys did not bring them in, accommodate them, and give them turkey to eat and food and cornbread. Almost all the food you see that they use during Thanksgiving, they have symbolic meanings to the survival of the first adventurers that came. But you see how it played out? And I'm not saying that I wish that they were evil to them or not. When Afonja said, guys, come and hang out with me at Ilorin, right? These guys were minorities. He brought some of them. What happens? They first of all got him to change the spirituality of the land. And now what happens next? They elevated Alpha Alimi, right? Now, the Jamas and soldiers that used to fight with him, Awon Moeru, also some of the princes, they now got a leverage at Ilorin. And how did that play out? It played out in a coup where this man was eventually taken out. So if you don't guard things from the very start, where you protect your heritage, if you open it too much for the enemy to be able to come in, to be able to settle, to be able to build a new nobility, to be able to create a new path, then you have structured at that point when it's too late to now strike back. That is what I have to say. So I'm going to yield now and listen more to the host and the sessions. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Bunker. It's good to hear from you. And then we have one more speaker. That's Mr. Amazing Ade. Mr. Amazing Ade, are you there?
I want to greet my friend Bonka.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that wonderful submission. Thank you from the juxtaposition with the Hausa rulers, the Abe rulers of the Hausa nation, to how the Fulanis came in. Everybody came in as a friend. The colonization of well, God bless you. You really, really hit the nail on the head. There is no place where secular colonialism took place, where people first came in with force. No, they would just first come in and say, oh, we are here to trade with you. That was how the Portuguese first came, before they started kidnapping Africans and selling them as slaves. That was how they went into the Congo, Angolan kingdom. Well, before they went, even the Belgian Belgian people, the Belgian Leopold, before he went into Congo. So they will come in and say, we are here to trade. We just came in here to graze our cattle. We just came in here to just come here and settle peacefully. We have no problem. In fact, there is another good example that happened between Sudan and South Sudan. There's a place called Abyei. That land is historically belongs to the Dinkas. What happened? I think 200 years ago, or 300 years ago, the Dinka chief in Abyei gave land to the Arab nomadic herdsmen so that they can always settle and so that they can also tender their cattle. What happened? By the time Sudan was formed in post-colonial Africa, the Arabs started claiming that land and saying that land is theirs. Unfortunately for the Dinkas, oil and gas was discovered in that land. After so many wars happened between Sudan and South Sudan and North Sudan, Abyei was not allowed to follow Sudan, even though it's an historical Dinka land. We need to understand, Sherry, when it comes to the protection of your land and defense of your heritage, there is no friendship. You must draw lines, you must draw boundaries. People that are transferring 300, 400,000 PVC in order to hijack your political economy in the most powerful city-state in Africa, in the black world, are not your friends and they will never be your friends. Some things are off the table. People that openly, they attack your political leaders, they attack your women, they attack your culture, they appropriate your culture, they appropriate your heritage, are not your friends. We can all be Nigerians, but there must be boundaries. That was why the chief, the late sage, Chief Obafemi Awolowo was talking about ethno-linguistic federalism. There is a big, grand agenda. Even many ethnic minorities are also part of this plot to decimate and balkanize and cannibalize Yoruba land into pieces. That is why this issue of some people telling us, face the Fulanis. No, both of you, all of you are our problem. And you are our problem because we've been hopelessly naive, because that's not liberalism. In not to be able to protect Yoruba land and educate our youth, our growing population, the Yoruba population, about the need to preserve Yoruba land. Look at what the Benin people did. The Benin people, even though they are related to the Yoruba people, they are the closest people to us within Nigeria and the Igala people. The Benin people were the base of this fascist and hate-filled political movement called the Obedient Movement. That was the base. It was in Edo State. The Benin people were the one churning out propaganda that APC is an Islamic party. Anybody that voted for APC is an Islamist. They were saying all sorts of nonsense about APC. how Peter Obi or death. In fact, it was the Benin bloggers and Benin activists that made the most provocative, hate-filled speeches against the Yoruba people during that 2023 election, run up to the 2023 election. But do you know what happened in 2024? The same people that said they don't want to see APC, the same people switched sides and they went ahead to start supporting APC in their own local election. In fact, all of them decamped straight. They campaigned against PDP and disowned the Labour Party that they told all of you that is the next Messiah party. Do you know why? Because those Benin people, even though they are just not up to 4 or 5 local governments, they understand that he who controls their politics, they understand that they are in between two powerful bases. They are the Benin people. The Edo is the state that is separating the Yoruba race from the Igbos. If they do not protect their politics, they will be destroyed. What did they do? They went to go and vote for somebody that promised to maintain the hegemony of the Yoruba of Benin. And that was what they did. But these are people that understand politics to the core, and they did it. And when the Igbos were trying to bully them, they stood their ground, faced the Igbos, and chased them back. That's the Igbo, they pushed back against the Igbo nationalists. But do Yoruba youth actually understand this? They don't. Because they do not understand that the Yoruba race we are very close to being annihilated within Nigeria. That's why many of them are regretting voting for Peter Obi and following Peter, because they don't know. They do not understand this. They do not understand how dangerous things are, how dire things are within Nigeria. They do not understand that before Tinubu can become the president of Nigeria, there has been many bloodshed and martyrdom. They do not understand that to survive in Nigeria is beyond the price of kulikuli and gari. They do not understand that to be Yoruba within Nigeria is beyond the price of bread. They do not understand that a Chinedu Rose-Vivo becoming the governor of Lagos State has a capacity to pull Lagos State out of the Southwest governors, impose Igbo kings on Lagos State, and de-Yorubanize and ban Yoruba language in Lagos State. It is possible. That is the power of the governors within Nigeria. In fact, governors have more power. In this regards, governors are the custodians of heritage and culture in Nigeria. If you make your enemies people that have been eyeing your land for over 100 years, they've tried politically to take over your land, they failed. Through politics, they failed. They tried invading through war, they failed. Some have been trying for 100 years, another one have been trying for over 200 years. So we need to understand this too. This is not hatred. We must learn from what happened between the Jews, between the Palestinians and Israel and Israelis, between the Jews and the Arabs, how they got here. People will come in and say, oh, we are just here to trade. From trade, they will start inserting themselves into politics. Look at Azikwe. Azikwe came in with one seat at the parliament in Lagos State, in Lagos Colony. He did not wait. After becoming a political stater in Lagos Colony, he came all the way from Onitsha. He was born in Zungeru, in the Car North. He did not go there and be fighting for political power with the Hausa Fulanis. He saw the Yoruba people as the people that can be easily taken over. He came. Immediately he got that seat. What next? Just like the British, he started scheming to take over the entire Western region. This is what every Yoruba people must understand. There is no shame. If you protect your land, even God will bless you. There is no shame. It is your look, you must start seeing your ancestral land the way the Jews see Jerusalem. Your ancestral land is your base. Your ancestral land is very precious to you. So I've been told that a lot of people want to speak. I'm going to stop here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Ari. I know if you're given the opportunity, you would love to continue to. The topic is deep and very, very interesting. I see some people here. I know some people will try to come up, but maybe it's the network. I don't know. Iconoclast. I see a lot of people who try to come on the speaker session. Amazing idea. You will be our next speaker. However, just hold on a minute. Mommy Dabiri, if you like to speak, we have extended the invite to you. Just accept. And yes, if you know you want to speak, please raise up your hand because you will also be you're getting very close to end the space. Thank you very much again, Are. Yeah, amazing Ade. Please, let's hear from you.
And quick one, in case you cannot come up, please, you can drop your question in the comment section so that we can
Okay.
read it out. Thank you. So please go ahead. Amazing.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I really thank you so much. I don't really have much because I myself am learning from the likes of Red, Ross, and that the rest. Just one thing that I want to say. You know, there was a time in my life actually. I'll make it short. There was a time in my life that I accepted Jesus, all this things, and you know, there was something that really struck me. You know, there was this zeal. There was this zeal. I really wanted to tell people. I wanted to teach out to all those. You know, to cut the long story short, I have a lot of questions that they couldn't answer all this. What I want to say is that there are people out there, Yoruba people, even youth, they are out there. They don't know what is going on. Like I told my brother some weeks ago, told him there is a war, political war. There is political war going on in Nigeria, especially against Yoruba people. And you know, everybody, we are just fine, and we are, like I said, we are worried about the price of Gary and you see all those. But this war is invisible, so it makes it very, very hard for people to realize the problem we are really in. We are in a mess, to say. We are in a mess. And if we don't follow according to the teachings we are hearing, I think Yoruba first and other books we might have been reading. If you are not doing this thing, if you are not following accordingly, we might, find ourselves in the rank of. What am I trying to say is that we should preach Yorubaness. We should preach Yoruba survival to the people out there. There are people that they don't want to hear, if you say politics, they just don't want to hear this. They need to know. They need to know that it's not a matter of it's not a matter of contest. We need to preach it to them that this is a matter of surviving. We need to tell them we've acquired so many knowledge, acquired a lot. On Think Yoruba first, and even in our various schools, and I myself personally have acquired so much knowledge following our. So I see him as kind of a human God, if there's a word like that. So we need to tell others, we need to tell people on the streets, not just hello, I just want to shout people. I mean, all these things we are doing online, responding to tweets. It's not only about that. People that really need to hear these things, they are on the street. They are not online. Some people, and they are eating and drinking with these people. And these people have eating agenda. You need to teach them. You need to make them know. You need to make them be aware of what is going on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Amazimade, for your insight. It is very true. We need to tell our people about the importance of being a Yoruba and protecting our Yoruba identity. What we need to do at home, what we need to like. Late Pa Awo told us, you can't be a good Nigerian without first being a good Yoruba. So it's they're all interrelated, okay? But everything starts from home. Thank you very much. I'll hand over to Madam Lakujuna now to okay, yeah, good. Okay,
Thank you so much.
okay. All right, please go ahead.
All right, do you have anything?
I would quickly like to add a point as well. Gbọ́dọ̀ gbàgbé, kókó là ń rán fàdítì. And our political leaders, they just have to listen to us because they need to make policies that will protect Yoruba land. To máa protect wa, ilẹ̀ wa la wà. A gbọ́dọ̀ fi wọ́n sílẹ̀, a gbọ́dọ̀ há wọn lọ́rùn. A gbọ́dọ̀ máa kọrin yẹn sí wọn létí. They just have to listen to us and protect us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Bukade. Yeah.
All right, do you have anything to add to that contribution? All right, are you there?
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful conversation today. I'm so grateful that we've been able to summarize the issue of Palestine and the issue of Israel, so that the Yoruba people can have one or two lessons. I would like to say one thing. There's nothing impossible, but I don't think there's going to be a two-state solution in Israel, in that area of Palestine. I'm sorry I'm speaking this way. I don't have any horse on the race, but the entire West Bank, there are thousands of Jewish cities and settlement towns that have almost 1 million Jews now live in that area called West Bank. And that area of West Bank to Zionists is almost the most important part of Jewish history. That is where you have Samaria, that is where you have Judea, that is where you have Bethlehem and all these ancient places. So unfortunately, it's going to be, we pray for peace in the world, we pray for peace in the Middle East, but this two-state solution, only God can only answer that question. Today, the Think Yoruba First ESCOs and members, our wonderful and great people, where they were at Kwara State today, at Okiode, in Kwara State, and they went to visit our people who have been victims of bandits' attack. It was a very, very nice. We didn't want to say this publicly. We wanted our people to get back home. Those who, I really see them as valiant men. CYF Kwara State, may Olodumare continue to bless you. I'm greeting the leader, the coordinator, the lead supervisor of TYF Kwara State in the person of Mr. Kunle, and the secretary of TYF Kwara State, Oberibi Okunrin, Madam Anike. May Olodumare continue to, and all of you that went the entire ESCOs, Mr. Rayinka, gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ gbéra lọ tẹ́ lọ sí Òkè-Ọdẹ, Ọlọ́run á wà pẹ̀lú yín. We were able to give palliatives to hundreds of our people. When they saw us, I'm going to start posting videos from tomorrow and pictures. We were received by the Yellow Day of Òkè-Ọdẹ Kingdom, and also the Ashikpa of Òkè-Ọdẹ Kingdom. It was a very nice situation. We gave them food. It was in collaboration with Idera. TYF also have something like a Yoruba Red Cross, where people that are trained to be able to handle humanitarian disasters and health disasters, they were the ones that, in collaboration with TYF members in Kwara State, were able to make sure that hundreds of our people were fed today. They told us that they've not seen anybody, that we were the only Yoruba organization, Yoruba institution that even came to them. And that place is very far and very isolated. When that picture, in fact, like what the videos we saw and the pictures we saw, thousands of people showed up, but we were only able to feed hundreds and hundreds of people due to our limited resources. We are going to do more. And our people in Okiode send message to the entire Yoruba people throughout the world that they will continue, they always think Yoruba first. Even though they are in Kwara State, they will never bow and they will never give up on their ancestral homeland. In fact, they said many of the elders, the elderly people we saw there, they refused to leave Okiode. Even though many of them have been displaced from their different villages, they now sleep in cars in the same city, in that town, because the intention is to create insecurity. They said the intention is to create insecurity and make them flee their ancestral homeland. But they said they will never go anywhere. So they were so happy. They didn't expect that there's another Yoruba organization that actually helps and empower other Yoruba people. The little food we gave them was like a manna from heaven. And the different palliatives, different necessary things that would take them for the next at least 1 week. And they were so grateful. I want to thank the entire Think Yoruba First organization and IDERA, Humanitarian Medical and Humanitarian Mission Organization worldwide, that made this possible. May Olodumare continue to bless you. To the TYF members, powerful members in Kwara State, all the way from Ilorin to Jeba, to Afon, to Gama, to Ifelodun, Orago, Eshare, Ofa, Oyun, Ekiti, people that stood firm. That the Yorubas of Kwara State is a Yoruba state. The Yorubas of Kwara State, we would never bow. May Olodumare continue to bless you and continue to empower you. Today was a very happy day for me. Till they came all the way since yesterday, 2 days ago, they've been working hard, getting these things, men and women married. I'm not talking about young people. These are elderly people between their 40s and their 50s, working hard to be able to feed our people over there. And we are so grateful to the donors. We are grateful to the contributors. We are grateful to those who gave us the financial means to be able to do this. We are grateful to those who gave us this opportunity to do this. If you also want to be part and parcel, why? Because we want to do more for our people in Babanla. We want to do more for our people in Jeba. We want to be in all these areas where bandits. We are going to Kogi very soon. I'm not going to divulge information for the security of lives of our people, from Idera and TYF, TYF Cultural and TYF Park. People that are going into these communities. May Olodumare continue to be with us. So the entire from the Bayalode of Okiode and the Ashipa of Okiode, they are greeting the entire Yoruba people. May Olodumare continue to be with us. We are going to save ourselves. Nobody is going to come and save us. It is us. Our salvation is our hands. Our Midas meat, all those little things, Toro Kobo, actually goes a long way in doing great things. Many people, children today, they are going to remember that it is Think Yoruba First organization that gave them dinner. It is Think Yoruba First that gave them food that is going to be able to feed them in the next 2, 3, 4 days. We are not doing this for political social climbing. We are doing this because we love Yoruba people and we are ready to defend Yoruba people anywhere they are. Within the Southwest, in the South, in the North Central, in the Middle Belt, in Benin Republic, in Togo, anywhere they are. We believe that God will continue to take us into higher places. Do you want to join TYF today? Go to www.thinkyorubafirst.org/ you are going to see join us. Join us because we want to ensure that this is the biggest and the most powerful, the most efficient, Yoruba socio-cultural, socio-political, socio-economic, socio-geopolitical organization in the world. And also the IT school of TYF, they will be graduating very, very soon. We are so grateful. We admitted 25 students for cybersecurity and cybersecurity class and computer programming. Fortunately for us, we had sponsors. The entire program was, all of them were on scholarship. And fortunately, due to the wonderful works of the academic unit of TYF IT school, of our college, we were able to create internships. And for these particular students, out of 25 students that we admitted, 10 students are graduating next month. And the graduation probably is going to be one of these big Saturdays, where we are going to see students sharing how people that were in journalism, people that were secondary school students, people are now going to be sharing testimony now that many of them now have Cisco certificates. They are internationally certified. And if you have jobs in cybersecurity and computer networking anywhere in the world, we have TYF students that have graduated from our IT school, ready to take up this opportunity. We can vouch for them because we've trained them. And you are going to see them by God's grace next month. And it's going to be a colorful graduation. We promise you. We promise you. We also want to donate to us. Go to thinkyorubafirst.org and you are going to see our donate button. You can pay, you can donate in Naira, in any currency. We need your help because we are all over. We have over 40 branches of TYF, from university campuses to chapters, from America to Canada to Japan, to all across the world, to Latin America, to Brazil, and to Africa. May Olodumare continue to be with us. We need more volunteers if you want to join us. I pray in the name of Olodumare that Yoruba land will continue to survive, and Yoruba land will continue to strive. We will continue to overcome our enemies, that all the plans of our enemies shall not be able to come into fulfillment on our lives. Yoruba land will continue to live forever. Yoruba land will continue to be prosperous. The Yoruba people will not be displaced in our land. We pray that the entire Yoruba land, in Kwara, in Kogi, in Edo, in Delta, will surely be returned and part of the West. One day, there is nothing Almighty God cannot do. We must always look out for each other. We pray for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He's a fellow Yoruba man like us, that those planning coup d'etat and those planning things in order to kill him, to destroy him, they will be put to shame. We pray that Olodumare will continue to protect him, and so that he will not fall into the trap of the enemy. We also pray that before he leaves office, he's going to institute ethno-linguistic fiscal federalism properly in Nigeria, so that the Yoruba people will be able, state police and every other things we pray for, that Yoruba people will be able to secure our land, our territory, our culture within Nigeria, because we know Nigeria for what it is. Because politics is war without bloodshed, and war is politics with bloodshed. I'm quoting Mao Zedong. That's not my own quotation. May Olodumare continue to be with us. Eshe púpọ̀.
Thank you very much, Are. Thank you to my co-hosts for an amazing session tonight. I want to thank, I also want to thank and say thank you to the viewers for joining us always on all our platforms. I want you to remember that Oshushu Woni Yoruba, and we cannot be lackluster about our survival. We have to be the core that we're supposed to be from the get-go. We have not been that for so many years, and we have time now. Although we have to be more rapid, we have time to build that core. And you have to remember that only the strong will continue. And we have to have it in us to fight for our land, our heritage, our civilization. So I hope to see you here again next week for another impactful lecture. And I hope to see you at 8 p.m. on all our platforms. Thank you very much for joining us again, once again tonight. Ẹ ṣé o, ojú á tún wa rí o. Ó dàárọ̀.